shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Behave yourselves!
Hello YouTubers out there, this is Jersey Saravia at the movies. So today I'm not reviewing a movie. I will be on hopefully Sunday, and I'll get back to that later. I might not even mention it, what I'm reviewing, because it's not nearly as important as discussing one of the greatest actors that's ever appeared on the silver screen. Now, a lot of people use that word, greatest, most talented, you know, and then, but when it comes to Gene Hackman, I don't know if, I've got to say, I've never met anybody that ever thought that Gene Hackman was not a good actor. But I think that underrates him. He was a great actor, and today he passed away. Actually, I think he passed away a day or so ago, and it was discovered by the police because there was a neighbor that called because of some concern over Gene Hackman and his wife, who he had been married to for quite some time. And it turns out he passed away along with his wife and one of 3 dogs, I believe. 95 years old, Gene Hackman, and the last film he did was Welcome to Mooseport, which I actually liked. Some people don't like it. I liked it. I thought it had a small town feel to it. I liked that he played the President of the United States visiting a small town. Everything about it was just very likable. It's one of those movies like, oh goodness, what's the name of it? Dave, with Kevin Kline. It's just a very disarming picture. Very well done, very well written, I thought. Anyway, but leaving that aside, after that, because that film came out in 2004, he then retired. And the rumor was that he was going to return to do a voiceover or narration for Wolf of Wall Street, which never quite happened. I don't know the veracity of that for sure, but it was something that was brought up before the film was released. But Gene Hackman, for me, the obvious choices: The French Connection, Mississippi Burning, which to me is probably my favorite performance by him. Even in films where he wasn't quite at the, how can I put it, he was still delivering, but the tone was off or something, was Absolute Power by Clint Eastwood. But a better film by Clint Eastwood that starred Hackman as Little Bill in Unforgiven. And he won the Oscar for that. And I believe he also won the Oscar, Hackman, that is, for The French Connection. So, between that, small part in Bonnie and Clyde, I mean, anytime you just see Gene Hackman in anything, he is just amazing. Even in a film, by the way, by Robert Benton called Twilight, which is sort of like kind of like an old private detective, you know, played by Paul Newman, who comes not exactly out of retirement, but he's investigating a crime, and Gene Hackman is married to Susan Sarandon. Kind of odd to see them as a couple. And James Garner was in that. I mean, these were such great actors. Gene Hackman, though, was just veracity, I think, is the key word. Like, you saw him on screen, and you believed every word he said, even if you didn't believe the story, like, say, a film like Target, for example, with Matt Dillon. But you believed in him. He made you want to see where the story was headed. He was so full of energy. And I'm getting just a little misty-eyed saying this, just like I did over David Lynch, because Gene Hackman has been a part of my life forever. As a matter of fact, the first film that I ever saw, which I should rewatch now, and I only remembered a little bit of it because I was a kid, I was only 4 years old, was Lucky Lady from 1975. And he's in that, Burt Reynolds and Liza Minnelli. I have to see the film again. But I remember that was my first experience with this actor, seeing him in anything. And so he's been a part of my life forever. I mean, there is no part of my life that didn't include Gene Hackman. You know, it's just, he dominated any film he did. he dominated. It didn't matter if it was a good film, a bad film, it didn't matter at all. He dominated the screen. And like I said, wherever he went with the story, you went along with him. The Conversation, a fantastic film, very great film, which I should see again soon. I have the DVD. One of the best films of the 1970s, nominated in the same year as Godfather Part 2, and the reason I mention that is because both films were by Francis Ford Coppola. I mean, talk about a two-hitter for 1 year. And he also, Hackman sort of did a reprise of that role in Enemy of the State, but The Conversation is really the film to see. Nothing against Enemy of the State, but it's not nearly what The Conversation is. The Conversation is quite a... It sort of bites you in the ass, so to speak. I mean, it is a film about surveillance, but even in today's culture, you would still feel that paranoia about surveillance in general. I know there are plenty of other films, but Mississippi Burning, for me, that is the film, the Gene Hackman film for me. And I guess the reason that I mention that is because the film also deals with the civil rights of the 60s, going down south and all the racism and everything else, which is still an important film. It's not dated in any way, you know. And he is one of the federal agents, along with Willem Dafoe. He is just truly terrific. But aside from the scenes where, you know, he acts out his aggression towards these people that he hates, the KKK and all these people who are most definitely white supremacists and so on and so forth, he has very tender moments with Frances McDormand, who plays the wife of Brad Dourif, who's the sheriff, I believe, of the town, or one of the deputy sheriffs. And such tender moments. He could do that so well, just showing that tenderness. Hoosiers. I mean, oh God, and there's another one I hadn't even thought of. Just I had it in my mind a second ago and I can't remember. But Gene Hackman, tops. If and it's hard to see him acting. That's the best part about Gene Hackman. He is so alive. He burns the screen. So when you watch him, he is really there. The one film that I felt was, because I've seen it recently, Eureka, which he did back in 1983. I didn't feel that was quite the right role for Hackman. But he's still watchable, no matter what. It's just a truly amazing actor. I mean, there's not enough adjectives to describe Gene Hackman. So to lose this actor today, it's not that we were going to see more films by him. He was 95. He wasn't coming out of retirement. But he is just anyone interested in acting. Yes, there's Robert De Niro, there's Marlon Brando, there are many people, James Dean, all of these people out of the Actors Studio, especially from the East Coast. But then there are other actors that you need to study. If you're interested in acting, watch their subtlety and nuance. James Garner, as I mentioned, from the film Twilight, and especially Gene Hackman. So nuanced. Even in films like The Package, for example, which came out in 1989, directed by Andrew Davis. Just tremendous. I mean, it's not really a great movie, but it's so much fun to watch over and over again. And Tommy Lee Jones is in it, who's another actor who people should study as well. He is in that quadrant, so to speak, of actors who you don't know how they do it, but they do it. You just accept them in the roles, and that's something that Hackman always did. It's just a tremendous loss, but we will always have his roles. Cinema will, in the 20th century, is not what it will be without Gene Hackman. He proved that you could come on screen like firecrackers, and burst the screen. No Way Out. Oh my God, I almost forgot about that. I mean, there's so many. No Way Out, he's fantastic. That's a movie I watch repeatedly, mostly for him. I like the movie, it's a great movie. But mostly for him. He is great. And even in a small part in Wyatt Earp, directed by Kevin Costner. or Lawrence Kasdan. Sorry, Lawrence Kasdan, I think, directed that one. But Hackman just had it. There's no other way. Very charismatic, a true fire and brimstone type of actor, but in the sense that he just burned the screen with his presence. When you saw Hackman, you were fixated on what he was going to do. What he was going to do next, what he was going to say, every moment, everything about him. Just amazing. So it is a tremendous loss. This is a tough one to get over, but unlike David Lynch, who might have kept making films, even though I think he was 78, Gene Hackman probably would not have been, come out of retirement, as I said. But it's just such a loss. An actor who just... an actor's actor. It's the best way to put it. So tell me your thoughts. What do you think of Gene Hackman? Which films have you seen him with, or in, rather? And, yeah, it's just, this really shocked me to hear this today. I don't know what else to say, but I will miss at least hearing about him. I mean, not very often do we hear about him, but the fact that he's just not there anymore is just, it's kind of, it's just heartbreaking, But his films will live on, and that's what matters. They will always live on. Anybody, like I said, interested in film acting, or acting in general, I would say, watch Gene Hackman. There are certain actors that you watch them, and everything about them is always active. Every part of him was always active. You never felt as if he was just in a slump. This guy was boisterous, would be the word. And even in even more nuanced roles, he really delivered. Just a fantastic actor. A great loss. Tell me what you think. For any of you who already have subscribed to my channel, thank you. And hit the notification bell for future uploads. Please hit like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel. That's all I got to say about that. And this is Jerry Saravia, The Movies, signing off.